Well, before I drain the fuel tank, I'm going to change the oil because I got a feeling the oil's been in there longer than the gas. Now, this is one of them deals you want to put a rubber glove on, huh? Boy, this is just going to be a mass dump. Look at the size of this drain plug. What do I got coming out of here? This is why you don't use RTV. Right there. People, don't use RTV. Well, I'll take back my statement about not using RTV. Don't use too much RTV. You should just use enough to wet the gasket. And don't use it to make a gasket. You can make a cork gasket for these. They're not that hard. Okay. Check the prostate. What do I got here? I got gooey sludge. These cars don't have a filter, so you should change the oil every year. I don't care if you drive it or not. You just run it a little bit. There you go. There's a nice gooey sludge. It'll sludge up. And if you put a detergent oil in here and there's no filter on here, it'll carry the particulates back up into the bearings. I know there's a dilemma on that, blah, blah, blah. My rule of thumb is if you don't have a filter, use a non-detergent oil. If you have a filter, you can use modern day oil. This one's got a little screen on here. I'm not seeing any craziness other than that RTV. And I got a feeling I found where the RTV came from. I think they used it for a gasket right there. Well, looks like I'm making a gasket. I'm going to get some of the sludge out of here too. I'll spray some brake clean up in there, get as much sludge to come out as I can. Time to make a gasket. Well, I got this cleaned up. You can see there is a copper gasket on this. I don't have copper that big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up real good. And I'm going to put a little bit of Teflon tape about halfway down the threads. I don't want it to where it's going to go into the oil pan. I don't want it getting into the pickup tube like that RTV could have. That could have been catastrophic. That RTV could have been sucked up into that pickup tube, plugged up the oil pump, and that would have been it for the bearings. So I'm just going to wrap the bottom slightly on the threads and get this thing threaded back in there and get some oil in there. Now, my experience with these, the reason I'm going to do that is the sealing surface is non-existent, and it's more of like a cutting knife. If I made a modern gasket to put in there, it would just punch right through it. Let's see what we got in here. There's the pickup tube. I really can't see anything else crazy going on in there. Okay, let's get this together. I know it's kind of blurry, but there's more cork or RTV in there. Now, it does have a cork gasket, but whoever put the engine together put too much RTV on it. You just put enough and smear it with your finger to where it creates a tacky layer. You don't run a bead when you've got a gasket that's already on there. Because, like I said, this goes straight into the oil pickup and it'll destroy the engine. I'm going to try pulling it out of there with some Chinese fingers. There we go. That's what I got out of there. This is how I did this. I only have it on the very bottom of the threads. I don't want it to go up inside. I just want it to stay in the threaded area. And that's going to help any weeping that takes place. You can hear the difference. It's engaging right now. Oh, I got a mess on the floor. I had to go change shirts. It was like Ron Jeremy came over here and had a party. I got doused. Okay. Let's get some oil on this and get this running again. Right there tells you how much oil's in this. There's no dipstick. There's a float in the oil pan. And that's something. Okay, almost ready to start this on new gas. Order 2 more.